Castle Unicorn, Pacific Junction.
Okay.
It's a renewal.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, I so move to approve the agenda and the minutes and the accounts payable. Richard, did you get through?
No, but I will before we send them
Alrighty.
in the
And
office.
to make a motion to renew the Unicorn's liquor license.
The unicorn. Castle Unicorn.
Oh, Castle. Well, I always just, excuse me.
It's okay. I'm sorry, it was just kind of funny. I'm renewing the unicorn's license today. That's what I feel like, honestly.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the agenda minutes as received. Accounts payable and the liquor license is to what? Cancel,
Castle Unicorn renewal.
cancel the liquor license
No,
for.
castle, not cancel. Oh, that's gonna be a great day.
Oh, it's gonna be a long.
I forgot coffee and this is how it rolls.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
God, and I put it in my birthday too.
Alrighty.
Okay, going to open the public hearing at 8:20, I guess we'll call it instead of 8:15, but
Okay.
that's okay.
We've heard nothing on and no added comments.
I've got nothing. Do you guys have anything?
No, like I was telling Carol, this is one where it's coming around the bend and it's just eddying away. And we figured an acre every how many years they're losing.
I think it was about
A year and a half, 2 years, they're losing an acre.
Wow.
So it's gonna be a really good project.
Good.
And it's an absentee landowner, which everybody talks about, you know, typically don't get an absentee landowner involved. She's been really good to work with and involved, and
I bet she's excited.
yeah, it's her property that was really losing
I bet.
so much.
Yeah,
So it's a joint between two landowners, which is really a lot of fun.
good.
Well, I did set in on the bid opening, which I was very interested. Most of the bids came in, what I would say, within reasonable of one another. They had two that was way out of line, over $1 million.
That's the other one. That's the other one. We're still on 14. We're not ready for that one yet. Okay.
Okay, what,
No more confusion. And it's like,
I'm confused, but other than that, who
Yeah,
else does?
yeah.
Very similar project.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
easy to confuse. Believe me, it's easy to confuse them.
and thank God no one showed up today for the. Now that the contractors know that they come a different time.
Yeah, that's generally these public hearings on these types of projects. We usually don't have anyone, you know, express any opinion on it. So
Well, we have 3, 4 here from the public. Anyone of you got to discuss, want to say anything?
I'm gonna ask for money later, so I'm not talking right.
That's always good. Good talking.
You're out of luck, Parks. You don't ask for anything, okay?
He doesn't really want much today anyway, I don't think.
Okay.
Well, I make a motion then to close the hearing at 8:22.
Can we do this like 8?
To approve site 14.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, now you can talk about the bids now.
And then tomorrow you will be meeting
Yes.
yeah.
at the engineer's office.
No, tomorrow is out at the site itself.
Oh, that's
Like I
at the
said,
site.
it's just south of Henderson, go west on Dobney, and it's right at the entrance of the landowner, the joint landowner's driveway. I believe there used to be a house there, but there's not anymore, and then we'll drive up into the project itself. You can, anybody that wants to come, even if you're not a contractor, it'll give you a good opportunity.
How many contractors are interested in?
Well, we had 6,
Oh, you had 6.
both at the pre-bid meeting and bid. on the last project, so hoping for similar interest on this next one. That's a good number, really.
Right.
And I want to give kudos to JEO because they have been very, very diligent about costing and trying to come in, because the landowner's 10% cost is based on preliminary estimates. It's not based on actuals. So it was kind of their responsibility to try to come in as close as they possibly could, and they were within $20,000 of an $800,000 project.
Okay.
So they came in extremely close to the estimates, which I was really happy with.
Feel good about that.
Yeah, that was a good thing.
Yeah, so our estimate was 886,000 on.
Wow, you were close.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
2 below, 4 above, kind of 2 outliers in there, 4 of
Oh,
them
yeah.
really close.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And is
because,
it local?
well, here's what we
That's
have,
what we
Carol.
like.
I'll let you know, I'll tell you who bid it, okay? So Lee Construction bid it, $860,671.20. Is it Gaina Trucking and Excavating Inc. of Martell, Nebraska, $876,726.
Okay.
Circle A Construction of Sergeant Bluff, Iowa, $903,205. JNC Construction LLC, Clearfield, Iowa, and they were $940,421.95. And then Peterson Contractors Inc. of Rhinebeck, Iowa, $1,033,000. And then Herberger Construction Company Inc. of Indianola, Iowa, at $1,250,668. So,
That Lincoln, what's it called, Lincoln?
Lee.
Oh, that's
Lee,
Mike Lee.
Lee, yeah.
Good.
So basically, the recommendation coming from JEO was the low bid of Lee Construction at $860,671.20.
Good.
So,
And that's local. That
Local,
makes us feel good.
and yeah, they're reputable, they have a good
Very
reputation, so, yep, that's
Super.
what we'd recommend, going with them.
Super, super. I always like to hear that. Okay.
so would you like to make that motion?
So I will make a motion to approve Lincoln,
Lee Construction.
oh, why did I thought you said Lincoln Lee? Oh,
No, Lee.
Lee Construction at 860,721,
671.20.
860,
860,671.20.
71.
It's gonna be a great day. I can tell already.
Second,
That's my motion. Okay.
second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay.
Okay, you guys got anything else? No? Okay.
No, we just, so September 2nd, I believe, is the next bid opening, again, at the county office, and
For the next one.
for the
That's
next
next
one.
Next
The one we had the
Yeah,
public hearing
so
for today.
Similar process after that, we'll review the bids, send a recommendation, and, be here the following Tuesday for another award.
Just remind me,
So,
oh yeah,
um,
We talked about it, I think we're gonna do it a little bit later, just because both of us
that's fine,
can.
that's fine.
Yeah, really, whatever works for you. As far as contracting goes, we will assemble all the contract documents, route them for signatures. So contractor first, owner being the county second, we'll get them back and then distribute copies. So, we'll generally take care of everything, but if you have questions, call me.
So, once they start, do they have a special, like 90 days and they've gotta be, or?
This one starts October 1st, and I think we're giving them until
April something.
So I think it
April
was April.
something
Oh.
to give them time to get it seeded.
These are big projects, these two.
Okay, so this construction probably can't bid on the next one because,
That's how big their crew is, but I
Oh,
wouldn't,
okay.
I wouldn't anticipate they
Since they've
would,
got-
that's a pretty sizable contract, so. I think, you know, some of the other guys will probably get a little bit more aggressive on the next one too.
super.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
Alright.
You guys, like I told the landowners, if you guys ever wanna come out and see these projects, just give me a call.
Yeah,
I'll take you
it'd be
out.
interesting.
Even if you just want an afternoon out with coffee and go to see it. I can run you out, I can see some of these, so you can see what's going on too.
Super.
They're kind of exciting projects.
Exactly right. Well, it's been coming.
It's been a
You
slow
guys have
process.
worked
Federal-
hard.
Federal documentation and permitting and that sort of thing takes a
Yeah.
time.
And I don't know, COVID hasn't helped on the
No.
permitting side of things, I think that's kind of a slow process anyways, and that's slowed it down probably a little bit more, but I'm getting through it.
I think we're still gonna hit target, and we'll still spend money before the end of the deadline, so that's
Good.
good. And we're working on.
Well, I agree with Richard. This is probably one of the best programs. This is wonderful.
We're excited. It's good
You
to have
guys
it.
are awesome. Thank you. This will be good.
Yeah.
All righty. Give you a call later. Okay. All right.
Just let me know.
Okay, next on the agenda, Larry Hurst and Julie Lyons. COVID-19 updates.
Good morning.
What
Well,
exciting
yeah.
news do we have today?
Well, we've got a press release going out
Okay.
after the meeting today. So just a quick review of where we are. In the last 7 days, we've had 20 new cases. On the press report that's going out today, I wanted to include last week's report and then this week's report so you can see, I think it's important to see how we're trending. So for the last 2 previous weeks, we've had 9 cases, and this week we've had 20, so we definitely have an uptick there. Our total positive cases for Mills County right now is at 117. We have 17 recovered cases. We have 2,981 individual tests that have been completed in Mills County. And our 14-day positivity rate is something that we're looking at really closely. That's something that we're monitoring. That is a key indicator for schools staying open. It's also an indicator for long-term cares moving up their phases. Last week, our positivity 14-day rolling average was 6.1, and as of today, it is 8.3. We've had 4 individuals in the 0 to 18 range with positive results this week, 6 individuals from 19 to 40, 5 from 41 to 60 years old, and another 5 individuals in the age range of 61 to 80. So that press release will be going out to the OT and to other media and Facebook social media sites. We are currently doing a once a week update, and Larry and I continually visit about, is that enough? Is once a week ideal? Should we be doing twice a week? I think we're going to hold at once a week, but if the numbers become concerning, we may evaluate doing maybe a Tuesday and Friday press release. In addition to this press release, almost real-time information is available on coronavirus.iowa.gov. So if there are some people who like to track it and keep up with it, you can do that almost in real time. There's not quite as much data there, but there's plenty. That's the update on COVID-19 for this week.
A question, or maybe you can't answer, is, are any of these, how should I put it, community related? Or can you tell us, or?
I can tell you that this week we had a mix of community spread and known contacts. So in those 20 positive cases, some of them contracted the disease because they lived with or had close contact with somebody who was positive.
Okay.
A large number of them, probably a majority, are community spread, so they don't have any known contact. They became symptomatic, tested, and had positive results.
Here,
Oh.
I was gonna say, just throw that on
Perfect.
Lonnie.
Make sure
so
Larry
that's-
gets one. So just a couple of quick items for your review. We talked about the weekly report. Item number 2, I just wanted to bring it to your attention that the state of public health emergency, that declaration has been continued. On Friday, Governor Reynolds extended that proclamation through September 20th. Not a whole lot changed. Basically, she kept all those public health mitigation practices in place for an additional 30 days. So it's particularly for restaurants, bars, casinos, other places, theaters. The biggest issue is for those congregating. You must remain 6 feet apart, social distancing, that increased hygiene, and then all those other public health mitigation efforts, cover your cough, don't go out if you're sick. And the other thing that's part of that emergency declaration, of course, is that regulatory reliefs also remain in effect until the public health emergency has closed. I'm just going to move on. First, if you have any comments, feel free. Otherwise, we wanted to discuss the disclosure of protected information. We did have our county attorney's office look into Iowa code. This question came up in our work with the schools. They have privacy laws that are FERPA, and those are their privacy laws where they don't share student information. But because of the public health emergency, they have gotten clear written guidance that they, of course, can share student information as it relates to contact tracing with public health. So if they have a symptomatic or a positive individual or somebody who's been in close contact, they'll be able to share that student information with us. They'll give us identifying information. Public health will be able to do that contact tracing. Now, superintendents, of course, brought up the flip side with public health, and they said, we want you to share your information as liberally with us as we do you. We're not in the business of sharing information.
When you said sharing, like what was?
Personal
referring
health
to?
information for contact tracing. So the concern from one of the school districts was they gave me a scenario, say that they had a varsity athlete who really wanted to play and came to school when really he or she shouldn't because they've been a close contact, an exposure, or a positive case. School said if that happened out in the community and not in the school, we wouldn't necessarily know that. And we need to know that because we don't want anyone at school who should be home quarantined or isolated due to COVID-19. So I reached out to the state, and they're in the process of getting a written document. But in the meantime,
Work together.
yeah, because here's the thing, public health, even though we are not in the business of sharing information, because of the emergency proclamation in Iowa Code, section 135.145, county attorney said if Mills County Public Health in good faith believes such a disclosure is necessary to prevent or lessen serious and imminent threat to the health or safety of a person or the public, and the limited disclosure is made by providing the minimum necessary information only to a person or persons reasonably able to prevent or lessen the threat, we can do that. So we've set up a protocol. How I would like it to be is I would like only a public health nurse to only speak to a school nurse. My thought is it'd be a nurse-to-nurse communication, so they are all on the same page about sharing only the amount of information that's pertinent, only in the capacity of lessening threat to the general public, the school population, parents, teachers, administrators. So I just have to tell you, this has been a big work in progress, and it seems obvious, but we also had some legal loopholes to jump through because we do want to protect health information, because we don't want to share information other than to not have an imminent threat to the public or a population.
But if you just talk to the school nurse, she has to talk to teachers,
Well, then it's on her.
then it's on
So
her.
for public health, let's say that we know that Tim Smith has a positive contact and he shouldn't be at school for 14 days. School may or may not know that. If we know that, we will have a public health nurse call the school nurse of the appropriate building. We will share a document that says this individual is not cleared to be at school until at least this date or these criteria have been met, right? So no fever, symptom improvement, 10 or 14 days depending on the contact. So we'll have that process in place. So we want to share pertinent information, and we want to share the least amount that we need to ensure public safety. So we have a plan in play, and we've been working really closely with our school nurses, and so far, so good. As a side note to that, on number 4, we mentioned briefly last week that it's fall, that there are many large events that occur in our county in the fall related specifically this time to
Like
homecoming.
like homecoming, for
Homecoming.
example?
So, because of the rate of transmission, because of the concerns about large gatherings, at this time, public health does not recommend any large gatherings. So I've not missed a homecoming myself in 30 years. I show up and I know what homecoming is for our community. But we've got a real unusual circumstance going on here. And when you think about homecoming, we really will have people standing shoulder to shoulder for a long period of time. You will have people yelling and cheering and in close contact with one another. And you know what? As far as public health, that is just not a good practice at this time. So I did speak with
a lot of class reunions already canceled.
and I think at this point,
just
it's,
know.
Dinner.
there's not a whole lot of pushback on this issue, but there always will be some. But I did talk with the homecoming parade committee last night, and they are in agreement. So, and then I'm going to meet with city administrators tonight, and my capacity is only to make recommendations. At this time, it does not seem wise. I've also had the school reach out about, the football games. So they want to know if homecoming isn't going to happen, if parades aren't going to happen, what about the football game? And my
They've been
recommendation.
playing. I mean, they played their scrimmage.
Well,
last
sure,
night.
they
Aren't
can
continuing?
play, and they have, as far as spectators coming and homecoming.
Extra ones.
So you think about homecoming football games, historically, again, it's a really crowded,
come from
full
out of town.
capacity. They come from out of town. Again, you're going to be standing or sitting extremely close. And part of football is yelling and cheering. And then you just think about no matter how good your plan is. So your plan is you have to be 6 feet apart. You have to wear a mask. When you get that number of people together, there is no way to enforce it. It's not feasible. We don't have capacity. So again, my really big focus is I want to do all that we can as a community. We need to keep kids in the school building. We need to keep our infection rate at a manageable level. We need to do all that we can to contain disease. Our biggest goal is to keep schools open, keep businesses open, and big picture, get our positivity rate down so we can be concerned about quality of life with our long-term care partners. So that's the recommendation that's going out across the
So now
board.
it's on their shoulders. They have to decide.
Yes,
whether
absolutely.
They should go
Yep.
with it or.
So there's any number of things that will be associated with homecoming. So the parade is one thing, the football game is another thing, street dance is,
That's gonna be a big thing because.
And they're not back on
Because,
that one.
because of the push, well, the city can shut it down and so can the county. Because of
Well, and
the
that's,
courtyard.
that's up for discussion on the council tonight,
Yeah.
I think. But I heard some sort of a proposal that they were looking to maybe do the parade down Locust Street. But I guess it really doesn't matter because they said people could spread out a lot further. I said, I suppose because of the drives, they've showed where the senior night where the parent,
But it's
sure.
logistics of elderly, it's logistics of traffic flow and everything else.
Well,
They don't
probably the
plan.
elderly aren't even gonna come out and go. I would imagine, most.
There'll be a lot.
I mean, that they're not gonna bring them from Glen Haven. You know this resource center is not gonna bring theirs. You know that, who's the other one? Linwood Village, probably not gonna bring anybody. So those people would not,
No, but the
Be here
seniors
anyway.
would come out because it's.
And then you
still
just,
event.
how do you socially distance our population? And I mean,
so I,
so
I don't disagree.
there are accommodations that could be made. Recommendations for the football game, if you look at bigger school districts, other school districts, and even what's being done at collegiate, professional level, they're making big accommodations. So, you know, they definitely could still have the football game. They're practicing, games are moving forward. The school has done an excellent job. They have a real firm guidance document that they've pushed out to all parents of the school district. They have really strict limitations. Their wordage, I could not be more pleased with. You know, kids will sit with their parents. If they don't, they'll be asked to leave. Adults will be wearing a mask. And then maybe even, you know, immediate family members coming, limiting the audience and how you go about that. So those are all things that our school districts are just working really hard to try to figure out. How do we move on? How do we be normal? How do we still put some safe practices into play? And it's not easy.
I heard they was only going to set on 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11 bleacher.
Oh.
Next
You
to
know-
each other?
Now that they didn't tell me, they
I mean,
just
wait,
said,
it's-
you know,
there, well, yeah.
as a family, you can
As
set
a
together.
family
Yeah.
grouping, if you live together, you can be together, and then just having
The big
physical
thing is,
distance
I think-
between.
But I think that scrimmage, the opposing team that came down, they were not wearing face masks over on the other stands, or no, there wasn't a lot of them, I guess, so. I think the issue is how do you contain that? Would it be better,
spread out?
for the home games of these teams in the conference, that if the hosting school has a home game, then they basically then the visiting teams, spectators don't come. They can only come to their own home games, that way they can expand their stand usage and use the other stands to get more of their hometown people to the game of their own team. So that would be a conference issue that I'm surprised they haven't thought of, because you could take advantage of all those extra bleachers.
Larry, you are a very creative thinker. I mean, and that's just the world we're in. We're gonna have to think about doing things differently than we ever have before, and hope that this is short term.
Right.
Like my reunion was last year.
But I
Ish-
think, that one last thing on the homecoming, if the homecoming committee decides to pull the plug, then almost I would think the city is going to have to decide as far as this issue with the street dance. That street dance is almost higher risk than the parade in a way, or it's equal to from a spectator standpoint, because the intermingling of people and the socialization of people, and then they're gonna have a beer garden, and they wanna rope off an extra street, and at first they didn't wanna put any fences up, and now I think the city, if they were gonna approve it, we're gonna require some sort of fencing in.
Well, that's what's in their ordinance.
But they wanted to waive the ordinance, you see.
Yeah, but then that was the city's push was if we waive it for you, then what about the establishments that
Yeah.
are already, you know, you can't just say, okay,
This-
cheers,
this-
now you don't have to have a fence
The
or
thing with
anybody
homecoming
else.
is significant, because it'll be precedent setting, because it's never had to happen again,
Right,
have before.
like so many other things.
We're in a worldwide pandemic here, it's not like H1N1. This is something, a different breed, different character, it's attacked this at will. It's put a lot of people's lives on hold, jobs have been lost. Emotion is at a high level, and there's a lot of still unknown, and this vaccine can't get here fast enough. And then it's gonna see, okay, does the vaccine provide the level of immunities that we're hoping it does in the time frame that we would like to see it take effect? So that's the key to mitigate this affliction we're experiencing. The United States is so red right now on the
It
world
is.
map
It is.
that you think a country such as ours, we would not be one of the highest countries or one of the highest in the world continents in the world, excluding, you know, Canada and places like that, to have this problem. And it's just, that just tells you how international our country is. You know, we move around, we trade, we travel, we cross-mingle business, vacation, you name it. Our borders are not closed like some countries are with restrictions. We're just feeling like the freedom we have.
And I'm sitting here thinking, we shut it down 1 year, is this gonna start something?
Well, yeah. I mean,
Because
you know, there's been a lot of,
people that would rather just forget. That's so sad. This is so big for the town.
It is. The one thing to consider is we are not a standalone entity or county that's doing things ultra conservative. We would be falling in line with the vast majority of good practice. And I would rather fall in line with good practice than be the crazy rogue person putting infection control mitigation efforts at real risk. I mean, this is not a popular decision. And I understand what homecoming means to our community. It is something that we do, and we do it an extraordinary job of it, and to not be able to do it this year is significant. But let's keep kids in school. Let's keep businesses open, and let's get this under control. This is a one-time thing, but it really is gonna have to happen. And then we'll see how they move forward. That's public health recommendation for what it's worth. And it's based on good science. The last article, did I get rid of these? I didn't mean not to. Just the coronavirus relief fund for local governments. I do have an entire workbook put together for public health. The request for reimbursement amount related to public health employee payroll for 5 months for COVID-19 activities. I did include the technology and infrastructure expense that Patrick had included for the total reimbursement requests in regards to public health payroll and expenses. Our Mills County full allotment was $191,522.01. And Larry, I was going to ask you, there's also a second round which will include August and September expenses, which are due October 15th. When we do a resolution today, does it need to be just for the first 5 months?
Yes.
And then the second,
Yes.
the last 2 months will be a different resolution?
Yes, and that's Corning that I went ahead and called the state and got it verified. It's different. And they never
that's
done it
kind
like
of
this
what I
before.
thought that they were
But
telling us.
And I challenged it because it makes no sense. It's not how
I
they
know.
normally work.
I mean, well, it would make sense to do it as one whole enchilada, but,
Well, no, normally what you do, you pass a resolution, you're gonna participate
Right.
in one. And then if they want to know how much money you plan to encumber, in other words, that you think you have, like your whole allocation, whatever, which I think everybody would say the whole allocation until proved otherwise, then they would have you include that to that amount. But that would make this more sense. But in this
Well-
case, they decided that, and this was probably a consultant, this is probably, when they went out and contracted with this company, that they're the ones that came up with this idea probably.
well, and ironically, our CARES, the auditors, what we're getting for election stuff, they're gonna send it all to us, what we qualified for, but if we don't have it spent by the end of November, we have to send it back, whatever's left.
Well, the thing is, if we can't encumber this entire amount,
Ooh, I think we can do it.
then, if
Well,
we
Well,
can't,
I'm concerned that there's not enough.
Well, I'm afraid
Well,
of,
there definitely isn't enough
there never is
with
gonna be
the way
enough.
it's looking right now.
Right. I mean, we definitely can.
I think we can almost, with what Patrick has and what Julie has right now, probably encumber almost all.
And then for the second round, there
There
just
wouldn't
would
be
be no
anything.
dollars.
There'd be no dollar. Well, Patrick has stuff that is post-July.
So Julie,
So
you
his is the
check to
second
make
round.
sure none of the things that you've already purchased technology-wise, you were from any other grants.
They are not from any other grants.
Okay, okay. So they were just out of your, just
Correct.
eaten out of your budget. Okay. And the amount related to the employee payroll, did you take the,
I sat in on the webinar, I spoke with Jamie Cashman, and I filled out the entire workbook. So, I am certain
no,
of
your
those.
two grant people, that's what I was meaning.
They,
Did you
yep,
pull-
no.
You left them
no,
in there?
I did leave them in there, and that was under the advice of Jamie Cashman.
Really?
Because I asked him specifically about my grant coordinators for public health emergency preparedness and explained the whole thing, and he said, this is for his administrative ease, we are deeming, and we are just taking a percentage because really there's no argument to be made and our percentage is low. We're saying that we believe at least 25% of public health's salary for 5 months was dedicated to COVID-19. I can tell you that that number is low. I would tell you that
I was
So
just
it
scared
averages.
to add them in because we get grant funding
well,
for
and
everything. to
right,
fund
and
them.
so I did want good clarity around that, and I took it all the way up to this Jamie Cashman, and I have his number.
Yeah, well, we know who Jamie is.
You do.
Oh,
Oh,
heavens, yes.
Well, I
yes.
don't, but
I work
he.
with him
he's Isaac.
constantly, so.
So would he presented as he is the person, the
I
expert
just
to
hope
ask.
that he's,
Well, the thing
Totally
is,
understands
it's
that.
almost like with these people, since it's a presumptive is what it is. It's almost like these people, if they were used in a capacity other than normal coalition business, okay, which they were, then it would be allowable as a presumptive. If it was a non-presumptive, that they're just doing a 25%, you can just take a 25%, but you could probably claim your allocation over that. But the thing is, they say if you take a presumptive 25%, it's presumptive. It's just like anything else. In other words, they can't disprove it, and they have to assume it. It's like it's almost like Veterans Affairs and Agent Orange and tinnitus in your ear. They can't prove you don't have tinnitus ringing in your ear, so it's presumptive if you claim it.
And it is somewhat common sense because I can tell you since March, every staff member at Public Health, we drop all other duties and public health emergency preparedness, that's our baby. It's what we do.
so, and it includes, I didn't get to do the webinar because I had to do an election.
And it's online. You can
No,
still
I know,
watch
I'm
it.
going to, but, so that includes all benefits? I mean, the whole,
Yes. And when you do the workbook is, as far as grant writing, the workbook is really simple. It's not many, many, many pages. It's 4 or 6, I don't know. And that you can only fill in the yellow fields. The math is like done for you. So it's basically like workbooks for dummies. I mean, it's just, you can't really mess it up. I do think the sooner we submit it and get reimbursement, the better. I know the deadline is September 5th. Public Health is ready to roll when the whole package is
Okay, so the
approved.
question I have is,
Well,
Patrick, what was your
yeah.
total last week? With that included, her stuff included, what was it about, 70, 80,000, 90,000?
I
Do
didn't.
you-
know
do you have Patrick's sheet here from last week?
No,
The stuff we've already purchased
Yeah,
was
there's some of that.
was
technology,
31,000
how
for
much?
laptops, all the laptops we've already
No,
purchased.
that's it.
31,212, but that was with hers.
What was she-
And mine was just under 20.
Here's the,
So,
okay.
but your other stuff proposed that would be under the second period, Patrick? So it's another 50, 60, you think?
Well, you've got
Depends what the board wanted to go with.
Okay,
but
so,
yeah,
yeah.
Potentially, if you did everything, it was, let's see, about 20, 38,
well, let's see,
about
91.6
close to 58,000.
probably,
And then the things we've already purchased,
like the boards, yeah.
the laptops would be around probably 10 to 12, taking out Julie's.
And that would be August, September, well, no, some of those would be in this grouping
Most of
here.
those laptops are before in
Yeah.
the first group, yeah.
Yeah, so it would be in the
Just
first
going back
group.
to March. Now, what's the original date? March 1st?
March
First
1st.
March,
So, yeah, these would
That
all,
would all
July.
be included.
Yeah.
That'd be
the
great.
most current one was June, so these would all be the first part,
So
right?
basically, the August, September would be the technology you're proposing today, and then you had a couple other things on your list.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
So basically, that we would probably eat into this remaining balance. So I guess today, if you need to get this something, a resolution, and get this process of the first 5 months in the hopper, we would need to build the first 5-month expenditures allowable and get that in the system and get that number in the resolution. And get that submitted as soon as possible. And then basically the last part would be finding out, the remaining technology related to this COVID-19 that Patrick presented last week to you all. And see what that number finally is, and then see what's left, and then you encumber the balance of it with payroll. That's what I would advocate. I think some of what Patrick, for sure presented can be tied to this, especially the virtual piece.
I think everything, we have lots of needs that I didn't include just because I don't think they would, I went by what other counties and other states have already
Yeah.
got their funding for.
So I think it's high
So if
confidence.
it met their requirements, I don't
Yeah,
see
so
why it wouldn't
basically
be
it's a
ours.
high confidence that we wouldn't have a problem with it. So I would advocate that we, whatever is the first 5 months that he has in there, that we get that in the system along with Julie's and that. And then the other last August, September months is the other technology he has to acquire yet. And then add that into the second part. And then see what's left out of the 76,000. And then we garner the balance of that 76,000, with, well, Patrick's got another project there that we can garner. It would
We can
apply.
always come up with something, I'm sure.
And do we want to keep any of it for August, September?
Well, the thing is, this.
I think
would be
we
a-
need to see
we
what
are gonna
Patrick's
keep-
numbers
we
are.
We are
and-
gonna end up taking
Yours?
minus the 30, you're probably gonna have 40-some thousand for August, September, what you're gonna have left if he submits the computers. Well, actually less, you'll have more than that, because if you take yours off, then that number is less from what Patrick had submitted last week, departments.
What's the maximum?
191,
Oh.
191, yeah.
Okay.
52201.
I don't know.
I agree with you. If you're ready to go and it all works out,
Do I need to turn my workbook into somebody? Do I need to
Yeah.
just submit my workbook?
Well, we'll take a copy of it. I need to visit with Tyler.
How about
He's
if
not
I
here.
send it to you electronically?
Sure,
That's
that's
probably
fine.
how you want it.
That's fine.
Okay.
and get it.
Tyler's not here
Yes.
today, but he was working on the resolution, and he was just waiting for all the numbers to come to him too.
Okay.
So I think we can probably, pass the resolution with, the, whatever we can come up with as a top.
And with whatever
Patrick's
Patrick has
total
for
numbers he
35
can give us
months,
too.
and get that number to Tyler, and
Right.
then we just gotta work up Patrick's
And then we
stuff
just have to have
into
him
the
send.
system,
Yes.
and, then get it submitted. And then we'll work on
What-
these August, September.
wouldn't we-
with the
okay,
residual
but
Patrick's.
If Patrick is, I mean, okay, so with what Patrick has on his list, why wouldn't we just go ahead and submit those numbers?
Because it's gotta be expended in the first 5 months, and the stuff he's proposing, like today's technology, is expenditure after 31 July, and so you can't include it in the first 5 months. You can't encumber the monies for the first 5
You
months.
can't get the money ahead, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
you gotta buy to get reimbursed.
Okay, so
So with his-
we need to get to a good number. We don't know
Today's-
what that number is yet,
Well,
for sure.
You have one number's
Yes.
proposed number.
That's what I
The
mean.
other number is what he has that the previous 5 months, he has
Yeah,
to be
so it's
allowed.
10,824.46. It's for all the laptops, mine, not including public health.
10,000 what?
824.46.
So you add that and public health together,
Can you tell me that number again?
10,824.46. So that includes some from 911, engineer's office, EMA, IT, and board. So that's several
That
departments.
sounds low, Patrick.
you know,
It
he
was-
includes
yeah.
the other technology.
He
so
doesn't,
that's
yeah,
stuff
he
that's
doesn't
gonna
have the stuff that
That's
he
gonna be
wants.
on-
That's the stuff that we've already
And then we'll
purchased.
get
That's
it
gonna
in
be
here.
August.
So
Laptops,
the next
basically.
If you got
portion will be
calculator,
everything else that he requested.
Well, everything
and-
else that you guys want to
So-
move
Yes.
forward with.
So the 114, you got a calculator down there.
And all that 19,000 is already purchased and they have it, right? I mean, that's
We
All
all
do.
done.
laptops,
Yep.
definitely, yep,
Yep.
they're in my office right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, limits.
So I think you would say 95,052.85 for public health, employees payroll, and then I would say technology and infrastructure expense would be the 29,000, whatever it adds
So
up
it's, so
together.
it's 125, 738, 29.
Say that one more time.
Wait a minute. here.
125, 738, 29 would be what Patrick's number is for the first 5 months and Julie's. So that would be,
30,685.44 is just the technology portion.
Say that one more time.
30,685.44 is technology.
But that includes what Julie's got, right?
Yep, that includes.
Okay.
yours. And then
That includes
the-
this 19,860.
And
Right.
then the
Is the
95,
payroll all for the first
5 months.
So you'll have more payroll for the next.
I will have August and September. And it should average the same, it's about 19 a month, 19 or 20.
okay, so
No, we're not gonna have any problem spending. Could come up a little bit.
we're gonna be
I was
sure.
gonna say, one of these, like this,
Okay, it's,
Yeah.
we
this
got a
screen,
balance
we
of,
might wanna,
we're gonna have a
wait.
balance of 65,783.72.
how much? 60 what?
65,783.72.
Okay, so we need to see what Patrick's are,
For the
what
next 2
his
months, August,
technologies
September.
will be.
Yeah.
And then
Then
if there's balance of that,
we just take payroll.
then it would be whatever's
okay,
left
Joey?
for the payroll stuff.
Yeah,
'Cause
however
this'll
you
all
guys
just-
wanna do it.
Basically go back into the general fund.
I'd
But
say-
the reason I'll have to have it separated, because some of it will go in the supplemental fund
Mhm.
for the county.
So
Yeah.
basically.
So that's why, yeah, because yours is separated out in the workbook, right? For the like salary and then your
Yes.
FICA and
Yep.
IFRS and
Mhm.
insurance. Okay.
Mhm.
So Patrick- so I
That will
guess
be a good
Patrick,
rescue for public health budget
65,783.72
because some of our grant work we
might
cannot
take
do
some
because
of
we've been
the
doing
big ones you have.
COVID-19, so that'll help.
It won't go
how much
into
did you say?
public health
65,783.72.
because it'll all go in the county general fund. Because
about
all of these
66,000.
items, except for Patrick's with technology, were already allocated as
Yeah.
from your payrolls, your I mean, not under,
What are you saving
not,
back 40,000
expenses that
for-
you weren't already expecting.
Right, depends if you're
Okay,
saving back
unless
for
there's
No,
payroll.
we
payroll
need to work on the
overtime in
technology.
there.
But those dollars would
I
not
think-
come into public health budget.
No, it'll all stay in the county's general fund.
The only question that I challenge that with is her department was short at the beginning of the year and her manpower, her staffing, and those extra hours and her expenses. And that's including material things, admin supplies, things like that that were spending during this event.
Right.
There was expenditures that are not, that may.
Well,
and
some may be-
And the board
Sometimes-
could look at that through,
Well, because
budget
public,
amendment,
right,
too.
in a public health emergency, so I'm totally focused on the budget and we need to come in exactly where you guys told us to come in and we're gonna move heaven and earth to do it. But when it's a public health emergency, it's a little bit, all bets are off the table because we have a duty to respond to the emergency. I mean, we need certain things budget irrelevant, like PPE and nursing time, and we'd have to figure out how that wouldn't come into the public health budget because we would need it for our numbers.
Could that just be allocated
Get
into?
it by
We'd
budget.
have to, Carol's one of budget amendments, change your line items to help her out.
So
We
those
have to just
dollars
carry
could
money
come
forward.
into this fiscal
right.
year for public health.
The technology and that sort of thing, and probably anything that was for overtime, possibly, yeah.
I want to check into that, because when we have, I meet with the Iowa Department of Public Health and all the administrators from the state, and they're planning on this money coming in to support their budget, so we can support our people, so we can move forward with our work. That's legitimate.
Well, and, okay, and in our layman terms, it is supporting your budget. It is supporting it. It is bringing in extra revenues because the county is putting the money in your budget So
Right.
it's supporting the revenues you're not getting. So,
Right.
I
Which
mean,
is
it's
no
not
different
gonna
than
be
it's always
amended
been.
in. I mean, we can, but I think what my understanding is though, we have to obviously set up, fund lines to where it goes, but I think it would go in the general, then if there's an amendment,
We
Well, I
could,
think we're gonna
we
have to
could
make an
amend it
amendment
into,
because
it
she
would
spent-
have to come into
And
public
take it
health.
away.
She spent over her budget line for this.
The other thing to consider is, so we are fully funded with grants, right? And this is a banner year for us. We've never had more funding for our grant work. However, COVID-19 happened, and some of our grant dollars that we're fully funded to do, we're not going to be able to expend those dollars. Let me give you an example. We have a large grant that lets us go into schools and teach health-related topics. I can virtually guarantee you the schools are not going to allow us to come in because they've got COVID-19 procedures and they're not going to want outside community people coming in and teaching. They're not going to let anybody in. They're not going to let public health. They're not going to let any of their partners probably in this year. School is feeling grateful to be able to come together. They're going to put the best mitigation things they can. So that large amount of funding, and I'll tell you it's $45,000 for me to send public health nurses in to do community health in the school setting. We have that money just sitting there. We may not be able to use it. So I need something to backfill that, and what it is we've been going at breakneck speed with COVID-19. Another example is we have a large grant from Agency on Aging to provide medical transportation to our frail elderly population. So we can overcome all barriers to get frail elderly to the doctor. We have a large grant for that. We may not be able to expend that grant because our frail elderly population is not going to the doctor. They're doing a lot of telehealth. So even though we have this money sitting in various pockets, that money we may not be able to expend this year. And when I come to you at budget time, we'll have to have a mutual understanding that I have full funding to do some work that COVID-19 is not going to allow me to do. So how are we still going to make our budget? We're going to get these kind of dollars to backfill because in a state of public health emergency, we cease and desist with our normal activities and we go to the first responder, get on the team and do these activities. So in my mind, those dollars are going to have to come into public health to support my personnel who are not able to do their usual work because we've stopped, dropped, and picked up COVID-19.
Right.
Does that make sense, Carol? And we do have a number of items whenever that budget amendment, I need my purple money turning green is the only thing I walked away with.
What they were, I think we're probably looking at a budget amendment on about September 29th. I've got to visit with Tyler a little bit because we've got to amend in the HMGP monies.
And then Carol, I might need a minute of your time. I've never done budget amendments before. I am keeping a running tally and then I'm just going to walk through it with you and see what we need to do.
Basically, what we do is line items. So we put the money, you say, I need X, and this is the line items I want it in, and this is the amount that I want to go in those line items, and then we go from that's what
I think we're on track for that. All right. So as far as this last issue, number 5, we've got our workbook done. It's ready to submit. I should send an electronic copy to Carol. Am I going to be the grant submitter, or am I just going to be the documents? Am I turning it over to you, or am I?
We need to determine that, who's gonna be, I think, doesn't Larry have to submit it? Larry?
Hang on, I can't even get in the
It's
system.
just an Excel spreadsheet.
Oh, is that it?
I can submit
I mean,
it
I don't know if we haven't approved the resolution yet.
when the
but
time
yeah,
comes.
Yeah.
If you want me to submit it per instructions,
So
I
you
will.
can submit your part too, but don't,
I would have one person do it all.
well, yeah, it makes more sense to do one person do everything.
I'm just here to spend. I'm not here to-
Yeah, I know. So, yeah, we need to figure that part out.
Or Tyler.
Yeah, I think we
Well-
are.
That's what I think.
Yeah, but he's gonna have to type it up for us with the numbers, because he was waiting on the numbers.
Oh,
And we
that'll be
didn't
another
have,
week.
no, we can
No.
approve it
Oh,
with the
okay.
numbers presented, And then
And
we just
then-
have Lonnie sign it when,
Okay,
yeah, I got him to sign it
Okay.
later. So that's what we'll do, but that's not on the agenda till after Patrick's
got it.
Blackberry Ad Hoc. Or Ad Hoc.
Yeah,
It is at,
yeah, IT.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What it means, I don't know.
Okay. So, Patrick's first.
So Blackberry, this is what we kind of talked about last week. This is a replacement for our panic or duress system for the courthouse, actually all the county offices. But the one we have is just, it's 7 years old, over 7 years old. It's not worked the last couple times we needed it. It's out of maintenance. We just need to replace it. So the program I came up with as a suitable replacement is called Blackberry Ad Hoc. It's a cloud-based solution, so everyone's essentially going to have, like they do now, they'll have a virtual button on their desktop, on their computers, but they can also have an app on their phone too if they wanted to, request help that way.
oh, okay.
And it's a little more than that. It's a crisis communication software, so it allows us to do other things that aren't necessarily emergent, life-threatening issues, but things like we're going to try using it for the weather warnings and dispatch instead of them getting on the phone and calling everybody. We'll send it out through this app. We can use it for, office closures. We could use it, if the entire county's email system is down, I can send an alert that way. So the goal wouldn't be to inundate people with alerts, but it gives us the ability to use it more than just once in a great while for, like the treasurer's office when they have irate people.
So is there a number of buttons or so to
There will be
speak?
no physical buttons. They'll be all virtual.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so
is there
no
a
batteries
number
to
that we
change
can
anymore.
have? That, is it only
We're-
with so many licenses?
Our quote is for 125, so if essentially every county employee will
Okay.
have access to.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of a limitation right now. You have to essentially be in one of our buildings, and with people working remotely, it's like Christine at home could have a button on her computer. The guys out in the road graders, public health, who's not on our system right now. All the officers, deputies could have it in their vehicles. So it's essentially covering every county employee.
Oh, okay.
And
That's
there is
great.
a feature with it called Connect, which allows other agencies, like the cities, for example, can connect to our system. It's no cost to us. They get a watered down version, and we could basically have them in the loop as far as communications go. So it's a really nice system. And because of that crisis communication part, that was one of the options for the CARES funding. So, but it's a need. So regardless of whether we use CARES funding for it, I wanted to get this one going because our current system is not working. So, and we've needed it a couple times here in the last
So
few
once
weeks.
we push this button, it will
It'll alert
tell you where you're at.
Yep, it'll tell them, like if they're in the office or if they're out in the field somewhere, it'll grab a GPS coordinate and it's going to
Cool.
let dispatch know exactly who it is and that they need help. Yep.
Got it.
Kind of like what we use today, except the one we use today goes out over the radio. But that part's not been working reliably. Now that we're on a different system, we'd have to upgrade the radio technology.
don't
and
want
we're not
people
sure
to
if we can
say-
do that.
Well, I'm being threatened,
Yeah.
don't talk, just push a button.
Yeah, no, it's a push button. Yep, they don't have to go up to the counter and like now, which the hard buttons rarely ever got used.
Sure.
Because it's kind of obvious that you're going up to push the panic button.
Right.
So people use the one on the computer, and this is essentially just a replacement for that. With the addition of having an app on your phone if they so desire. So we won't force that, but if people want one on their personal phone, I think it's a legitimate way to use it.
Right.
Everyone's got their phone with them anyway, so the
And
total.
then it rings down the comp center.
It'll alert the comm center via multiple ways, pop up on their screen, a phone call, a text message, and we can have it go to other people. It can go to the deputies, it can go to administrators who are in that group,
Okay.
and we can set up custom alerts that are just for specific things. So if it was a, weather closure, we could set it up so it alerts all the people. You don't have to do the
Very cool.
calling tree anymore, kind of thing. So, yeah,
What's
it's
the number on that?
it is $9,160.04.
Well, I make a motion to approve for Patrick to purchase the Blackberry Ad Hoc Duress Alarm and Crisis Software for $9,160.04.
Second. A motion made and second to approve purchase of said equipment for $9,160.04. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I would advocate that, next week, so that Patrick brings in this other technology proposals that he brought in to us last week, I think it was, to present with the numbers that he has us, quotes on, because you're gonna have to make decisions that are gonna encumber this CARES Act money, if they're eligible on this, which he believes they are, because, September, we're gonna be into September before we know it. And next thing you know, we'll be staring down another application, another resolution. So it would be nice to know that we know what your Bennett strategy is based on recommendations. So this 9,000 will be off that 65,783. So it's going to be $55,000 sitting there. They'll be part of the August, September. No, this will be part of the August, September.
Yeah,
but
everything would be at this
Yeah.
point.
Right.
So the 65,000, so you've already down about 55. So if we use this, it'll apply for it.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Okay, next on the agenda is CARES Act Resolution 2033.
Okay, so what I have, and I will get to Tyler. 95,052.85 for salary and benefits for public health's 25% share, 30,685.44 for technology purchases for the first round of submittal for a total of 125,738.29.
It's a resolution. Do I still make a motion?
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the resolution number 20-33 for 125,738.29. And this is of the CARES Act.
Motion made and seconded to approve Resolution 20-33 for the amount of 125,739.29. Any further discussion?
Richard, do you want me to submit my workbook? Do you want me to be the grant manager? Do you want me to pass it to anybody? What's the next step? Our part is ready. I can fully submit for Patrick and I both, or I can push my part to whoever wants to submit it. To me, I think
It has to go through Larry.
I don't think it does.
You don't?
I think we can do it jointly.
So Homeland Security isn't managing it though?
They
I
are
thought they were.
managing it still, but I think it doesn't matter who we submit, and I can work with Julie to get Patrick's stuff in the right format in the system, in the workbook, it all works for him.
It looks like it's just a web
Technology.
form on
it is.
Coronavirus
And then I
page.
think we
When
need
we submit it, we
receipts.
gotta scan
Yeah,
in the
and we
same
got all that,
resolution also.
It's pretty,
I thought it had to go through your portal.
It goes through the grants portal, but for public assistance and stuff, Julie has access to the grants portal as much as I do. And by the way, I'm locked out right now by the federal government, so I haven't
I
got
don't
back
think
in.
it's
They
going
What didn't you do, Larry?
didn't like me.
No.
Yesterday,
Didn't
I
like
got
it.
locked out.
So,
Department of
It's just
Homeland
Before we
Security.
go any further, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Yes.
Crouch,
Yes.
Vinton?
Yes.
Okay, Mayberry's absent. Okay,
Get his information.
okay.
Okay.
I will get this information to Tyler and have him create the,
You have to excuse me for a minute.
create the,
Because once the resolution's
He's-
signed.
'cause he's got it,
then
yeah.
a copy of that resolution has to
Right.
go with it, and be scanned in and sent with the package. Yeah, I got locked out yesterday.
so I'll work with you.
DHS locked me out. What?
So I'll work with you.
Yeah.
And
get it. Once
are
we
you
get
okay
past
with
this-
that?
I'll just send you the invoices unless Jackie can get them, but fine either way.
We just get the first part with the resolution
going.
submitted and get that part in the system so we track, and then and then we'll just work on the second part.
Okay.
And the sooner,
Sounds great.
and if we can encumber the money, we can maybe not have to wait till 15 October.
The other thing, just as a side note, there is talk that there will be additional money after this round, so that will help us out over time.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll take it.
But I think it's gonna be, that money could be a quick turnaround.
Yes, which would be good.
I know.
Okay?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Happy birthday, Carol.
Thanks.
You sure?
Okay, next thing on the agenda is the authorize the deputy county attorney to sign the buyout closings.
I make a motion to authorize the deputy to sign for the buyout.
It's in your.
Been a motion made and seconded.
You seconded it.
He's invisible today.
Okay. Just thought it happened.
To authorize the deputy county attorney to be the sign-or for the buyout closings. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, Richard, we'll let you.
All right,
They
come
can
on up,
talk later.
Richard.
Can I make one comment?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you can sit there and talk then if you want.
The,
really don't.
Carol knows this already, but, the auditor knows this already, but, when Supervisor Crouch forwarded me, from Grassley's office, that 1.5 million and change dollars, that really is not,
New money.
cost recovery for the engineer. That is the second part of our buyout project.
Right.
For demolition,
Yeah.
and we were just waiting for that to get approved by FEMA. The first part is the actual money's there for the actual buyout. This part is for the demolition, so really, we still have issues out there with cost recovery, as far as we'll use, category A, B, or C for the engineer for repairs yet. I don't know how much he's got out there yet, he's still negotiating with. That's our problem. This was just gonna happen sooner or later, no matter
Right,
what.
had to.
Yeah, so we still have an issue that needs to be resolved, so I'm hoping that they're not believing that they fixed this with this. So I just wanna make sure that you were aware
Well,
of that.
who knows, Larry, we won't know for a couple months. As slow as this process and the way it's been screwed up,
So,
and this is all on the overhead bridge we're waiting on. Corey says, I don't know how to write it in any other angle or, says, you just run out of ways to explain it.
Well, they want the wording changed different every time,
Oh.
because they don't understand it.
And they don't understand
They
it.
don't understand.
And it just gives them time to, when they throw it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, they're just looking to clean things up.
So not fair. Okay, Richard, come on up and join us.
I ain't got much, so
Okay, good.
actually I'll be quick. Any utility permit?
Nope, none.
And I see we've got an employee that retired, huh,
Bob Gaylord,
last week, wasn't it?
last Friday was his
That's
last day, yeah. And what was it, Monday he came in and said he tested positive for COVID, so, yeah. Yeah.
Now what?
Well, he only talked to two guys in there, two foremen. They went up, got tested, and they came back negative, so they're fine. But it's Bob, good old Bob, so.
Well, Kathy works at the hospital.
Yeah, don't know, yeah.
That means you have two openings then.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that you're
We've
working
got,
on.
actually, we've got 17 applications came in. We got a lot to choose from, and there's some really good ones.
Good.
And that, so when Corey gets back tomorrow, I think they're gonna go over them. The foreman will go over them. There were quite a few people.
So a grader and,
No grader, no.
oh,
Most truck drivers.
Two
Oh.
truck drivers.
2 truck drivers.
Yep.
Well, I don't have any complaints this week, how's that?
Well, what, the blade operators, they've been kind of pulling up shoulders, and when they do that, they pull up shoulders, they leave the grass over on the side, and after a couple days, it dies out. Well, you don't want to spread that new grass back over. You gotta let it die out, and it gets out of there, and then they respread it, so that's where you had some stuff on the sides and stuff, but that's just
Yeah, that's
typical.
when you always gotta pull over and you bounce over that.
You bounce a few, yeah, but
Yeah.
if you
And they
don't,
always do it when you wanna harvest.
Absolutely.
You know, they
Well,
don't
you
think
got-
about the farmer and the duel that's gotta go out.
Hey,
Darn
she's
farmer.
kinda waiting on this, could you?
As soon as Richard gets done, yes, we will.
Okay, thank you.
oh, I'm done.
You done?
I don't have anything, yeah, no.
No utility, no
No.
utility
No
permit?
utility
No.
permits, nothing,
Okay.
it was just general discussion, so
Okay.
we don't have
Well,
anything.
we don't have anything to talk to you about, so
Well, good.
thank you, Mr.
All
Park.
right, I'll go do a couple 911.
Sorry you had to hang out. I'm gonna have,
No, I had a
hey,
nice nap.
hey, I'm gonna have a, sketch plat for you. I'm just gonna scan it and email it to you.
Okay.
Is that okay? Then
Yeah.
that way you have it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It'll be
If you wanna
later.
do that
Hey,
from now
Richard,
on,
there
you
is
can do that or
something.
Would you
something.
prefer I did that? Okay.
A gentleman that I went at his place 8 o'clock one night, it's right next to Tackaville. And they had put fresh gravel and he had oiled it. I mean, he had paid for the oil, but they haven't come back to oil on top
That's
of it.
that's the oil company.
But they know they're not done yet.
I don't know, he needs to call the oil company that does that. We have nothing to do with it. That's
Can
a
you
private.
fax me that number so I can give it to him? So, because I don't think,
Well, which one did
I
he
think he's
use?
called it in the office.
3?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
called in the office
called.
and Kim talked to him and says, you need to call the company back and talk to them, so.
Okay.
And if he didn't and if he wasn't set up for the second go around,
Then, yeah,
he's out of luck.
yeah,
Oh,
he
he
has to
has.
pay, he has to pay for 2 go-arounds to have it done the second time.
Yeah.
So,
I've had people contact me, wanna know if they could get oil put down now, and I says, well, you'd have to contact the companies. I don't
Yeah,
know.
we don't do that, all we do is provide the stakes.
Yeah.
That's, so they just need to call the company, have it done, and
So once they pay, they always end up paying double.
if they want 2 applications. You have an early application and a late application, and that.
That's-
And
that's
some
the
people,
rule.
yeah.
Well, not the rule. You
Not the
can
rule.
choose
You
either
can
one.
choose, you can
Oh.
choose one or the other.
Okay.
Yeah, it all depends on how much you wanna spend. It costs you more for a second application and that, but,
Do they usually put gravel on top of the,
we tried to. This year, we didn't do a lot because we didn't have the gravel, and, we're running behind. We just got done with our 2019 FM gravel.
Yeah.
So we didn't do it 2020, so, but, yeah,
Well, next
well,
time you
we
put it-
try to. Well, what, Kyle runs out, and he looks at it, and he determines if it needs gravel or not.
Oh.
And the bad stuff, this eats away the gravel, but a lot of places where there's not much traffic, you don't need it.
uh-huh.
You don't need to put gravel down
Well,
like
next
Cheryl
time you
Dash.
put gravel down, could you put it down as dust-free?
Well, if you want to spend the extra dollars, we can buy the dust free, but you're not, it's
Is
always,
there such a thing as that?
well,
Yeah,
you
can
take,
buy it up.
it's called clean, yeah.
Earl gets it. That's all he gets is washed rock.
It's washed rock, but, well, you drive over it, it breaks apart and turns
Is
to
that
dust
deep sea?
anyway, so.
Is that Dave Sieg?
No, it's from Underwood.
Oh, okay.
Probably want to know about your student loans.
Hey,
You do.
okay, so do you want me to scan it and send 2 copies, or just scan and send it straight to you and then?
Just scan and send it to me and Corey,
Both of you, okay.
yeah, and then
Okay.
I'll just copy it off, and then
Okay.
I'll,
Okay.
that'd be the easiest thing to do.
Okay, well, if you guys aren't up here every day and
No.
I have them sitting in there and Lonnie's
Just
holding
need to
on to
get
them.
it back to work, so.
I know, Lonnie's just like, it's like,
So.
geez, stop this.
Yeah.
I think we have everything split out of tackets that we possibly could by now, I think.
That I hope.
But gee, many Christmas was still on.
Yeah, it's gonna be a regular little community down
It'll
there.
be Tackettville.
Hey, I must be living on the suburb then.
You are, you're in the burbs.
I'm in Gaylordville,
You're in Gaylord.
yeah, so.
I just don't want anybody to just keep going down too fast, just turn
Well,
Yeah.
and just.
don't have somebody that has a bunch of land, sell it to Hughes. If Hughes buys it, it's gonna turn into a subdivision,
Yes, it will.
so. But, nope, that's all I got, so.
Okay, well, that was simple,
All right.
good enough.
I'm gonna
Thanks,
go do
Richard.
911, so.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Hey,
Yeah.
Carol, I got a question here.
Yes, sir.
Well, maybe. Well, first of all, $1,280 for a patient at Montgomery Hospital for 2 shots. One of them was $900 and some dollars.
Or is it the engineer? Or I mean the sheriff? Oh, this is
antibiotic.
that one? Okay, so, wait a minute, okay. 1280, oh, no, it's probably office visit too. Okay, so you've got your injection for 126, the office visit for 200, and your 950, wow, that's Bicillion.
All of
LA.
a sudden, how come we're taking all these people to Montgomery County?
Well, the hospital. Or the Montgomery
I know
County
that, but
Clinic.
here for years, we never took anybody anywhere, hardly.
We have to. By law, we have to. And Dr. Bear's at Montgomery Clinic, so he's our, yeah. So that's what you got, because you've got,
And if she wants to come in, I got a couple more.
What, $1,000 for that?
well, you're
shot?
off, well, this Bicillion LA penicillin shot, one is $954, so.
Yeah, but if this person is that sick that has to have that kind of an injection, how can he be put back in jail?
I don't know. I don't know what the I don't know what that
It's scary.
injection is. That would be a question for Dr. Bear, I would say, to ask him what, call, because Tom authorized it, Tom Bear. I don't know what it is. I can call and ask Sabrina real quick, but we're on.
She goes get Jackie.
And now we're gonna approve it, okay?
You're up, Carol.
All right.
Uh-oh, this wasn't a claim. So, okay, there we go. I'm gonna take this to the claim quick.
Okay. I mean, like I say, I'm not against using Visa cards or charge cards or whatever, but they're gonna have to put down for what it's for, or, they can still tell us, we're not gonna put it out to the public, but I know, only $8.45, but how do you know they didn't send a personal package with it?
That's right. We're on. Back in session, so.
Okay. Okay, our next topic is, discuss formal action to Golden Hills RC&D for $5,265.
We have to amend that. We found an error and they're redoing it, but I think we should go ahead and approve it. They're gonna send us a new page, but instead of $810 for the Opinion Tribune, it is only $212.21.
Oh.
Well, they were paying our whole bill, which what they needed to pay was on top of what our bill was.
Okay.
So the total now is $22,918.21.
Okay, I make a motion to approve $22,918.21 for the
Gax number 54.
Gaxenberg.
Gax number
Gax
54.
number 54.
But the amount to RC&D is all right.
RC&D is fine, University of Iowa is fine, JEO is fine, Opinion Tribune is the one that's changed, and it's only $212.21.
Okay. We have a motion made and seconded to approve payments of $22,918.21. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, Larry contacted me yesterday because he didn't have time to get this, he didn't get this in time on Friday, I guess, to get it on the agenda, so he had received back the 2080 agreement with the city of Malvern for 2080 Mills County Communications Center, and they had signed it, I believe. Now all we need is, well, it says board chair, but I think the vice chair can obviously sign it.
We were gonna see about picking up some.
I make a motion to let Larry Purse, our emergency
No, You're gonna authorize the vice chair to sign
Oh, the vice chair to sign the 28E agreement with the city of Malvern
for communication center, yeah.
for the communication center. Got it.
There's been a motion made and seconded to authorize vice chair to sign 2080 agreement with the city of Malvern for emergency management purposes.
No, for 911 purposes. This is 911, this is Larry's other half, the 911 guy.
Okay. 911 services. Okay, is there any further discussion? Not, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, so, Richard, I'll give this to you and you can sign it. And on
You
this
can tell me we're
page-
done?
Here you go, this page and this page.
Any big plans for tonight?
That's about it.
We're still on. Okay.
So, I don't know, do you guys have anything else that you need to add? Any general discussion, any
I have a
supervisor
MAPA
updates?
meeting tomorrow. I had a Booze for Family, Zoom Friday.
You figure how to do Zoom on your home?
I do.
Good job.
I'm just getting doggone good, but I gotta plug it in because it just sucks the juice. Oh, man.
I had attended a economic development meeting last Thursday afternoon, which I found very interesting. What things are going on in the county and things is, they're in the area. Also got a very interesting email from our chairman, Lonnie Mayberry, telling us that things are moving along greatly with our broadband. You know, I think
That's pretty exciting.
I think that's gonna fly very well. I hope so. People are just can't wait. And you take and look at the number of people that we can help in small areas. I mean, the clusters of houses we have that we can run this down, unbelievable. And that's what they've been asking for. And I'm just hoping that we can finish the service that they need, you know. And I think it will stimulate a lot of growth in certain areas in the county if we get it there, especially out in the Lake Ohana area and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we're going down the road with a big one and leading off with small ones, so.
I'll agree. It'll be exciting.
That's all I have.
Anything else?
All right.
And see you folks next week.